Hi, this is 5 on 20 News with Phyllis James.
And I'm Mike Esham, coming to you live from our studios in downtown Tucson. It's Monday, August 7th. Let's look at some local headlines.
Hey, let's look at some local headlines. Hotel Congress became the first bar in Tucson to be certified safe by the Arizona Safe Bars Alliance. The group aims to identify public places where sexual violence is a risk. Bars can get certified by participating in 2 trainings which occur at the participating bar. Staff learn ways to spot sexual violence and how to intervene when it does occur. This could include talking with the person who is on the receiving end of aggression and checking in to see if they're okay. The program is a collaboration between the Arizona Department of Health Services, the University of Arizona, and the Southern Arizona AIDS Foundation. Hotel Congress was handpicked to serve as a model for the rest of the city. There are plans for more bars to be trained and certified according to the Safer Bars Alliance.
A polygamous town on the border of Arizona and Utah is experiencing a genetics problem. According to a recent report by the BBC, children in the town of Short Creek are born with physical and mental disorders, including not being able to walk, according to the report. The article states that in every case, the child had the same distinctive facial features and the same delayed development. The town is a small, isolated community of Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. According to the report, children born in Short Creek are 1 million times more likely than the global average to be born with a fumase deficiency. Basically, it causes an individual to not be able to walk, but is very rare because it's a recessive gene. The disease can be traced back to Joseph Jessup and his first wife, Martha Yates, who had 14 children together. The report says that the number of people carrying the gene in Short Crow now numbers in the thousands. The town holds about 7,700 people, but most men having 3 wives. Because so few men spread their genes around the town, the recessive gene continues down the very thin family tree.
Where you turn to have a family member. Arizona spends over $500,000 a day to lock up drug offenders, according to a new report by the American Friends Service Committee. The report, called Drug Sentencing in Arizona, a prescription for failure, features a years of analysis of Arizona Department of Corrections data by the group's researchers. The report says that despite this obscene expenditure of taxpayer dollars, there is very little meaningful drug treatment offered in prison to cure their addiction. Less than 3% of the state prisoners are enrolled in a drug treatment program, according to the report. Even though drug offenses account for the most arrests, most charges, and the most incarcerations, 21.3% of Arizona's prisoners have a drug crime as their highest charge, and statewide drug arrests accounted for 11.73% of all arrests in 2015. Carolyn Isaacs, the director at American Friends, said that criminalization of addiction is a failed strategy. However, Maricopa County Attorney Bill Montgomery disagrees with the report's conclusions. He said that the report failed to account for the 50-year lows in crime and that Arizona has been acknowledged as a treatment-first state since 1996. Montgomery says that there is mandatory treatment in the state for the first 2 drug offenses. The report suggests policy recommendations to treat the drug problem, such as better data collection and analysis and expanded treatment options. Isaac said that the most important recommendation is a change to drug sentencing. Montgomery agreed with the first 2, but disagreed that sentencing needs to be lightened. Arizona has the 5th highest incarceration rate in the country and has over 49% of prisoners reoffending. But Montgomery says that lessening the sentencing laws would send the wrong message.
Arizona's top water official told a congressional panel last Wednesday that drought still threatens to push the region into a water emergency in the next few years. Tom Pushatsky, director of the Arizona Department of Water Resources, sounded the alarm even as he said that the state has done a lot to preserve water. But he expressed concern that proposed federal cuts could force agencies like his to do more with less. Pushatsky appeared as part of a Senate Energy and Natural Resources hearing on increasing water security and drought preparedness through infrastructure management and innovation. Wow, I'd hate to be the person who had to write up the report on that. It comes at a time when water levels are dropping drastically in Lake Mead, which draws water from the lower basin of the Colorado River. The water level The water level has alarmed the governments of Arizona, New Mexico, and California, all states who draw water from Lake Mead. Pjatsky said that there have been modest improvements in the water levels, but it's still just 4 feet above the level that would signal an emergency. This means that states would have to start reducing the amount of water drawn from the lake. He said that there's a 30% chance that we'll experience a Tier 1 emergency by 2020. He says that there's a shortage of water coming from the Colorado River. 84% of the total falls on Arizona. He called for conservation measures, but also innovative infrastructure that will help the region with potential water shortages.
Migrant deaths along the U.S.-Mexico border have increased 17% this year, according to a recent report by the United Nations Migration Agency. The increase in death comes even as the report states that less people are trying to cross over the border. The report states that there were a little over 140,000 people apprehended at the border by U.S. Border Patrol this year, which was a little over the 267,000 people apprehended by this point last year. July resulted in the highest number of migrant deaths of any month this year, with 50 bodies discovered. This included 10 people who died while being smuggled across the border in the back of an 18-wheel truck. The International Organization for Migration, who authored the report, did not provide reasons for the increase. However, border experts say that stricter immigration policies often cause people to seek more dangerous routes to avoid being caught at the border. For example, in July, 4 people, including 2 children, died while trying to cross the Rio Grande River. Seeking more dangerous routes also leaves migrants more at risk to fall victim to dehydration in the hot summer sun as they cross treacherous sections of the desert. It also leaves migrants vulnerable to kidnappings by criminal gangs who prey upon families crossing the border. Immigration advocates say that strict immigration policies don't address the underlying issues of migration, such as lack of economic opportunities and violence in their home countries. Because the root problems aren't dealt with, migrants will still seek to cross into the U.S. no matter how secure the government makes the border.
City of Chicago announced that they are suing the Trump administration for threats against so-called sanctuary cities made by Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel said that this lawsuit would prevent the Trump administration from setting a precedent that could be used to target other funding. Sessions announced 2 weeks ago that cities who do not comply with federal immigration officers will forfeit a security grant that is used to fund police vehicles and equipment. Chicago expected to receive $3.2 million in grant money this year from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. They plan to devote most of the money to updating its aging police vehicles. Cities arguing that their police forces aren't equipped to deal with the demands of a full-on immigration crackdown. They say that the crackdown would require a huge influx of law enforcement, which the federal government isn't offering. Cities such as Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia, and Boston have all said that they will protect their immigrant populations and will not comply with the federal directives. In addition to demands on law enforcement, cities say that a crackdown makes communities less safe. This is because undocumented immigrants are less likely to report a crime if they feel in danger of being deported. Chicago is the first city to challenge the Trump administration's threat of taking away grant money, but there's sure to be more cities that follow their lead.
Venezuelan troops say that they stopped an attempted coup at a military base against President Nicolas Maduro. In a video posted to social media on Sunday, a group of armed men in military uniforms said that they were staging a rebellion against a murderous tyranny. The newspaper El País reported that men attacked the Fuerte Paramasque military base in the northern city of Valencia and escaped with stolen weapons. Forces loyal to the Venezuelan president urged the rebels to lay down their weapons. 7 people were captured in the attack, 1 died, and another was injured in the skirmish. The commander of the army said that his forces discovered a paramilitary group who took advantage of the current situation and assaulted the group. The commander said that the group was repelled and defeated. The current situation he's referring is an attempt by Maduro to rewrite the nation's constitution. Last Sunday, Venezuelans voted to approve a new constitutional assembly to make changes to the country's system. Critics say that Maduro is surrounding himself with those that agree with him in order to solidify his power. However, Maduro says that the opposition are funded by the U.S. and others to destabilize his socialist government. Venezuela has suffered food shortages and skyrocketing inflation in the past year, causing mass protests against Maduro. Over 100 people have died in clashes with security forces, and more than 500 people have been detained, according to the AP.
Wow, getting rid of people in your administration who don't
Yes.
agree with you. That doesn't sound familiar at all.
Right, not at all.
I don't. The Arizona-based marijuana company American Green Incorporated bought a small California town to set up the nation's first energy-independent, cannabis-friendly destination. Nipton, California compromises 120 acres near the Nevada border and is about an hour's drive from Las Vegas and only 3 from LA. Currently, the town has only a general store, a hotel, a schoolhouse, and only about 20 people who live there. American Green said that it will initially focus on bottling cannabis-infused water in the town. Years down the road, the company plans to expand to edibles and cultivation of marijuana, which is legal in California. The company's press release says the visitors will find mineral baths, lodging, marijuana retail outlets, and a first of its kind ecotourism experience for conscious cannabis consumers. But one thing you won't find in Nipton, your keys.
I wonder why. Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton stated that the bombing of the Dar al-Farouk Islamic Center in Minneapolis was an act of terrorism. No one was hurt in the attack, which occurred around 5 a.m. Saturday morning. However, employees and visitors to the center say they are more frightened about after the bombing. Even before the attack, the center was regularly receiving threatening calls and emails. The windows of the center imam's office were shattered, either by the bomb or something being thrown through the window. The FBI is seeking suspects in the blast and trying to determine whether the attack was a hate crime. In addition to a religious center, Dar al-Farouk also has a fitness center, a football field, and hosts computer classes, a baseball league, religious classes, and other events. Executive Director Mohammed Omar said that it's a place where a family can come and get everything they need. The center serves the area's large Somali community. Minnesota is home to the largest Somali community in the country, with 57,000 people in the state. The bombing comes in the midst of an increase of anti-Islamic activity in the area. Recently, an Islamic cemetery in nearby Castle Rock Township was vandalized with profanities and swastikas.
All right, well, this is 5 on 20 News with Mike Esham.
And Phyllis James.
Stay creative, Tucson. Bye.
Yes, bye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
This is fun.